Lonely, selfish, maladjusted. Why did this idea take hold? The academic basis of the miserable singleton specimen was the work of one man who famously lectured, being an only child is a disease in itself. Granville Stanley Hall was the leader of the late 19th century child study movement and had a national network of study groups called Hall Clubs that spread his teachings. Not a bad way to disseminate his 1896 study of peculiar and exceptional children, which described only children as permanent misfits. Never mind that Hall also openly fetishized his own agrarian big brood upbringing and disdained the smaller family urbanity that was creeping into a rapidly industrializing country. Just consider that Hall, and every other fledgling psychologist, knew close to nothing about credible research practices. Yet, for decades, academics and advice columnists alike spread his conclusion that an only child could not develop the same capacity for adjustment as children with siblings. Overprivileged, asocial, royally autonomous, self-centered, aloof, and overly intellectual is the culturally perceived unchallengeable given of the only child, as sociologist Judith Blake wrote in her 1989 book, Family Size and Achievement, which attempted to scientifically dismantle aspects of the stereotype. Later generations of scholars tried to correct the record, but their findings never filtered into popular parenting discourse. The peculiar only child had permeated pop culture, from oddball sidekicks and 80s sitcoms to demon children in horror films. Hellion only children are legendary on screen. The Shining, The Exorcist, Friday the 13th, and The Butcher Boy are all films that rely on a seriously psychotic singleton, yes, even psycho, to terrorize their innocent co-stars. It's not just fright fests that traffic in typecasting only children. Name a genre, and there's a list of characters to give this stereotype narrative heft and form. Tom Ripley, Veruca Salt, Eric Cartman. Even superheroes fit the stereotype. Misfit loners incapable of truly connecting with citizens of the real world, suspicious in their overintelligence, often fighting against their privilege. Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, only children all. But this troubled image projected onto the popular consciousness can be complicated by the real-life heroism of some singletons whose ability to connect with others was central to their own superpowers. You might not know it, but Mahatma Gandhi was an only child, too. Around the time my mother stayed awake on the couch with her pros and cons list, she met with the administrators of my nursery school to convince them to extend hours until 6 o'clock in the evening to accommodate the needs of working parents. The next morning, a squadron of mothers cornered her at the door to the school. Wearing pajamas under their trench coats, they allowed her to drop me off before moving in for the attack. "We've been waiting for you," they said. They were fundamentally opposed to her suggestion of an extended day. "We wanted to tell you our children are our only priority." During an interview with British psychologist Bernice Sorensen, who wrote a book called The Only Child Experience in Adulthood, I mentioned that my mother chose to stop at 1, and I'm considering the same for my family. Her response is to snap, "So your mother's a narcissist, and you're one too if you make that choice, and you probably will ensure the same future for your daughter. Isn't that what you're telling me?" Let's just say she's one singleton who didn't enjoy the experience. The majority of parents say they have second children for the sake of their first child, or at least that's what they've told Gallup pollsters for decades. But it's hard to imagine anything that can be reduced to a simple survey question, much less an issue that layers notions of family, happiness, responsibility, legacy, life and death itself when you think about it. Still, we all know that there's truth in this response. First children tend to be a choice parents make to fulfill their own lives, and a second child tends to be a choice parents make to fulfill the life of their existing child. Some people believe that a family with one child isn't really a family, although I defy anyone to strictly define familial normalcy today. Kids are increasingly, and happily, raised by same-sex parents. In fact, recent studies suggest that lesbian mothers are the best parents of all. Divorce is as common as not. In vitro fertilization has pushed the possible age of conception into the mid-40s. Siblings are almost as likely stepbrothers and